Hi, and welcome to our audiobook series brought to you by Burgapoly Publishing. Let the journey begin. Today we are presenting
Chapter 11. Safety. They breathed a collective sigh of relief. Some collapsed against the floor, catching their breath. The sheer exhaustion was catching up to them. "What is this place?" she asked, glancing into the adjoining room. Valerie dusted herself off. "This is where I've been working the last couple of days. They brought Amaryllis and me here to clean and make beds. They called it their bunkhouse." Tom slumped against the wall. "Okay, hear me out. We stay here, let our dinosaur friends eat each other or get bored, and then we leave." John ran a hand over his face. "Not the worst idea." A roar shook the building. They flinched. John straightened. "Let's find a spot where we can see what's happening." Scott was already at a small window beside a bunk. He peered through it, frowning. "Can't see much from here." John turned to the ruined front room. "That's probably our best bet, but..." They followed his gaze. The doorway they had just come through was now completely blocked by wreckage. Tom exhaled sharply. "Yeah, we're not getting through that." John inspected the debris. "The whole front wall collapsed. It would take too long to clear." Valerie pointed. "There's a back door to this place." John's mind was already made up. "Good, I'll sneak around and find a way to see what's happening." Chi stiffened. "It's too dangerous to go out there now." John looked at her. "If I can't find cover, I'll come back." Tom pushed himself up. "I'm coming with you." John gave a short nod. "All right." Scott suddenly called from the side room. "Wait." They turned. "There's some kind of old communication device in here," Scott said, his voice tinged with excitement. "I'll see if I can get it working. Maybe contact someone." John's expression hardened. "Good. Try it." Scott nodded, already focused on the ancient-looking device. John turned back to Tom. "All right, let's go." They moved to the back door, silent now. Beyond the walls, the jungle waited. And somewhere outside, something more significant was still watching. Tom eased the back door open, his breath barely audible. The wood groaned softly, the sound far too loud in the oppressive quiet. "Looks good," he whispered, slipping outside. John followed a second later. John's eyes swept the area, his senses stretched taut. "Check that corner," he murmured, motioning to the rear edge of the building. "We cannot afford another surprise." Tom crept along the wall, peering around cautiously. A few tense seconds passed. "All clear," Tom reported. John exhaled. "Good. Let's move." They rushed toward the front of the building, keeping low, their eyes scanning for movement. The deep, guttural huffs of the giant dinosaurs still rumbled from the next structure over, their frustration evident as they searched for a way inside. Tom crouched suddenly. "Here," he whispered, pointing. "There's an opening. We can climb in through here." John nodded. "Go first. I'll cover you." Tom slipped into the tangled wreckage, the wooden beams forming an awkward lattice from the collapsed roof. The weight of destruction made the space tight, but inside there was room, more than expected. "This is what was blocking the door," John noted, studying the pile. Tom wedged himself between two beams, running his fingers over the heavy wooden plank that had braced the doorway shut. "No wonder we couldn't budge it. Let's see if we can shift it now." John studied the splintered remains of the ceiling. The wreckage hung precariously, stable for now, but one wrong move could bring the rest crashing down. They worked carefully, prying the board loose and then shifting rubble away. "Is that you guys?" Chi's faint but unmistakable voice filtered through from the other side. "Yeah, we're clearing the doorway," Tom called back. He shoved a large section of the roof aside, revealing Chi and Valerie waiting beyond the debris. He grinned. "Hello there." Chi leaned forward, peering through the opening. "Where's John?" John's voice drifted from deeper within the wreckage. "Finding a place to watch our dinosaur friends." Only his feet were visible as he wormed his way through the rubble. Tom shook his head, inching forward. "What do you see?" John's voice was hushed. "The big ones are pacing out front." A pause. "The smaller ones, I don't see them." Scott emerged from the rear of the building. "I just talked to someone on the radio." His face was tight, his voice off. Tom turned sharply. "What did they say?" Scott hesitated. Then his voice lowered. The city is under attack. John, still half buried in the wreckage, froze. Come again? Scott swallowed. Floating drones, just like the ones that attacked us. John wiggled back out of the rubble, dust clinging to his clothes. He stood, brushing himself off, his expression sharp. Did I hear you say the city is under attack? Scott nodded. Some guy on the radio said the drones are shooting down cars, killing people in the streets. John's jaw clenched. Tom exhaled. That sounds exactly like what we saw today. A cold silence settled over them. Where did those things come from? Tom asked. Scott's voice was steady, but there was something beneath it, something shaken. There are no other known settlements on this planet outside of Jalopolis. He exhaled. Which means this is an external attack. Someone out there doesn't want us here. John narrowed his eyes. We were taught we're at peace with all known civilizations capable of space travel. Tom gave a dry chuckle. Surprised you paid attention in class. John smirked. See? You do learn things when you're not sleeping. Tom rolled his eyes. Scott rubbed his chin. It could be simple expansionism. We've spent the last 1,000 years colonizing planets. Why wouldn't someone else do the same? A long pause until Chi broke it. What do we do now? John's response was immediate. We won't survive out here long. He gestured toward the distant tree line. We need to get closer to the city. Tom frowned. We don't even know where we are. John exhaled. Then we find out. Scott's expression shifted. There's an old tablet in the room where I found the radio. I was going to see if it still works. John nodded. Good. Check it out. I'm going back out to see what the dinosaurs are up to. The others moved inside, spreading out to search. John, meanwhile, crawled back through the rubble, returning to his vantage point. He got there just in time. The large dinosaurs were leaving. Their hunt over. John almost breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly a sound. Low, heavy, too close. John stiffened, his heartbeat suddenly too loud. The other dinosaur, the one he'd lost track of, was waiting right beside the building. John barely moved, barely breathed. Then, the smaller dinosaurs emerged from the structure in which they had been hiding. They moved carefully, their bodies low, their heads darting side to side. Then, deciding it was safe, they ran, heading for the compound's broken entrance. They never made it. The waiting dinosaur leaped. It cut off their escape. The other large one, seemingly gone, emerged again, blocking them from behind. A trap. The smaller creatures realized too late. They scattered, darting in opposite directions. One was snatched up mid-run, barely given the chance to react. Another tripped, fell, only for an enormous foot to pin it down. John's stomach churned. The crack of bone, the tearing, the sheer casualness of it. The two larger ones, their hunger momentarily sated, barely pursued the last one as it scrambled out of sight. John pushed himself back, crawling through the rubble, forcing himself not to make a sound. He emerged, exhaling sharply. Tom was there, helping pull him out. How are our friends out there doing? John dusted himself off, his face tight. They're gone. Tom raised an eyebrow. Gone. John nodded. They finally caught two of the smaller ones. A moment passed. Tom sighed. Well, at least they won't be trying to eat us. John exhaled. Any luck on finding anything? Tom shook his head. Nothing yet, but they're working on the tablet. John nodded slowly. Good. While they do that, let's check next door. See if there's any food left. Tom smirked. If there's anything left. John didn't laugh. He had a terrible feeling that something else was watching and waiting. John stepped back into the room, his posture wary but looser than before. The dinosaurs are gone. For now, he said. Tom and I are heading out to find some food before we get more uninvited guests. His eyes flicked toward the tablet in Scott's hands. You get that thing working? Scott nodded slightly, but it was Chi who answered. It looks like we're close to a pumping station. John raised a brow. For water? Chi gave him a flat look. Yes, for water. Tom crossed his arms. Why would there even be a water station way out here? Wherever here is. Scott answered this time. A city the size of Jalopolis needs a constant supply of fresh water. She added, even though the city's built by the ocean, desalination is expensive. It's cheaper to pull water from freshwater reserves inland. Tom whistled. Wow, you sound like this guy. He pointed at Scott. Valerie nudged Chi with a grin. That's a compliment. Scott already has a degree in computer science. Scott cleared his throat, shifting slightly. If we make it to the pumping station, we might have a chance of getting rescued. There could even be people there. That's a big if, Tom muttered. We can't even make it out of this compound. John exhaled. Let's take it one step at a time. First food. Then we figure out how to reach the plant. Tom clutched his stomach. Yeah, now that you mention it, I am getting hungry. There's still food next door. Why don't we cook something? John hesitated. Maybe because the smell of food cooking could attract more guests? Scott nodded. That's very possible. Chi's expression darkened. That man's blood is all over the kitchen. I wouldn't want to cook there. Scott grimaced. Not to mention the place wasn't exactly functional before the dinosaurs wrecked it. John rubbed his temple. We should grab as much food as possible in case we end up stuck here longer than we like. Tom grinned. I don't know. I was hoping for some grilled dinosaur steaks with all the trimmings. Despite everything, the others laughed. John smirked. Yeah, that would be nice. Let's move. Tom cracked his knuckles. Good, let's go. They moved carefully. John eased the back door open, scanning the area. Tom stepped out first, glancing over his shoulder. Then together, they crept toward the back of the neighboring building. Tom peeked inside. The kitchen's clear, he whispered. Then glancing at the smeared crimson on the far wall, he added dryly, except for all the blood. John followed him in, eyes sweeping the room. They moved cautiously, searching the rest of the structure. Tom reappeared from the front, stepping over an overturned lamp. This place is wrecked.
Thanks for listening to Chapter 11 of Into the 6th Millennium, The Invasion of Zephro. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss future audiobooks. You'll find links below to get the book, explore more titles from the series, and grab official merch. We've also included some affiliate links to the tools we use to bring this project to life.